Space, and we are live.
Hey,
Everybody! Welcome to the Call to Action podcast. I'm your host today, Dylan Camacho, and today we're interviewing one of our favorite co-hosts, Melissa. Here is going to be sitting here asking us a whole bunch of questions today. Melissa.
Hey y'all, it's Melissa. I'm going to be Hermione Granger today and try to keep these two boys in line. We'll see how many times I have to say language, but yeah, fun times.
it's going to be a lot of times. You're going to have to say it a lot of times.
Last but definitely not least introduced is, of course, Eric Zipper, everybody. Round of applause at home. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Hey, thanks for coming on. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. This has been your week. We came off Machine Week, going to Zipper Week.
That's right. It's been a great week for devices, machines, and now zippers. You know,
How's it feel having your own week, by the way?
it's cool. It's like we didn't film those matches back to back, so then them coming out back to back, I was just like, oh, cool. Okay, it's my week.
That's
Like,
before getting into the results and all that stuff, because we're giddy to talk about it. Obviously, it's a good week for Zipper, but we do just want to touch base and get to know you a little bit. Let's get a little personal with Eric Zipper while we have time with him for right now.
ooh, okay.
So I guess just before we even get into the matches and stuff like that, you've come a long way, buddy. We've started with you and Winston, and then you guys had a breakup, and there's been a lot of drama. Before we even get into the matches, let's talk a little bit about the dungeon and just kind of how things were going. Even before that, actually, because for a while there, people kept coming up and talking with you. You had Dagnino talking with you. You had a couple others talking with you. What was going on there?
Yeah, it was weird. It was especially Dagnino, because having a conversation with that guy is like is a skill all into its own.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels good to have a crew, to have a group of people in my corner. Especially because after getting screwed over by corruption, which it made it very difficult to trust anybody at the Schmoedown,
Sure.
But it's good. It's good to finally have a group of guys and while I wouldn't necessarily call Kaiser trustworthy, at the very least he has my back, so that's something.
That's probably fair. At times he seems like your best friends. At other times he seems like the guy who you would talk to to talk to a guy to get somebody killed.
Yeah.
Kaiser is
He and I have a very strict stepdad, rebellious teen type relationship.
Is that how you see it? All right.
You didn't seem like you approved of that.
Right. Hey, no, I can see him coming home with a pack of cigarettes. Sometimes he leaves for a little bit longer than he should. Maybe he doesn't treat everybody right, but I can see you having a fight streak too.
I feel like Kaiser is going to end up buried under Giant Stadium. Like, he's just got that kind of vibe.
Let's make no mistake, that's probably not a great ending to Kaiser's story. It just seems like, and he's going to have a sweet ride up until that point. Make no mistake. But other than Kaiser and the dungeon and stuff like that, so obviously you've been teamed up with Paul for a whole match now. You guys had a pretty sweet debut coming into that. You're also teamed up with Kevin the Smasher Smets, and that's a lot of talent in one team. What's it like interacting? And not to say that you're not talented at all. You fit right in with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's it like having all these new hotshots just come in to be one super faction for right now?
Yeah, it's very weird because I am the only person in the faction who isn't technically a rookie, who didn't come in this year.
Right.
And I'm also the only person in the faction that hasn't just been winning nonstop, So these two guys came in both so consistent. It's definitely kind of lit a fire under me, because it's like falling in with this group, there's the pressure to keep up with them. Especially when you have Kaiser there talking you up. It's just like, oh, I need to play, if not as well as Paul and Kevin, I need to be on that tier, I need to stay up there. And as someone who didn't really do sports or anything as a kid, I never had a thing that I really put a lot of effort into being good at, or like practicing, or like preparing for. And so to now be in a position where I'm like, I gotta study, I gotta improve, I gotta get better. It's very weird. It's not something I'm used to.
Were you not always looking? And granted, I'm not a sports person either. If you saw me stand up or caught me in person, I'm very much a sit down kind of guy. So it is one of those ones where I find myself competitive in things that I still enjoy. Like I'm a video game player outside of this, and I have a lot of stuff like that. And that's where I kind of find my competitive streak. Do you feel like you've had any of that competitive hobbies across from that, other than the movie Trivia Schmoedown?
Like, no, not really. I think I'm just not a super competitive dude normally. So the fact that I really want to win in the Schmoedown is like a newish feeling. It's like, I don't know.
Huh. So learn Schmoedown teaches you so much about yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking about a couple of those faction members as well. I mean, so Zipper, you're an Inner Geekdom player. Smets is an Inner Geekdom player. This is something that I've always been curious about with some of the factions that have, two teams or two players in the same divisions and stuff like that. What's that like? Is there any like conflict there, conflict of interest?
Yeah, not really. Smets is very much our faction's Inner Geekdom player. And I personally, I haven't really talked to Christian about this or anything, but I personally would love to start focusing more on singles than Inner Geekdom after this match with Haley. Because something I've realized about me as a player is that I am better at the sort of external behind-the-scenes stuff than I am with the little like plot minutia. And Inner Geekdom at this point is all just like every question about a director or an actor in those movies has been asked. So it's all just little plot details at this point. So I think singles is sort of where I feel a little more comfortable at the moment. That said, if they ever do Inner Geekdom teams situation, me and Kevin is where it's at, like.
That'd be sweet, but I'm terrified for the implication that would have on the questions moving forward, because it already feels like Inner Geekdom 1-pointers are like 2 or 3-pointers in the singles league based on the category stuff they have going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one thing I kind of want to ask is, so we've had a couple questions. One is from our good friend Paul Dark Shadow.
Yeah.
But have there been any talks for you to have some sort of catchphrase or kind of thing? Like he suggested like the zip it catchphrase to people giving you grief, or maybe like a Z hand motion, or maybe like a Zorro swoosh.
There you go. There you go. There have been conversations about it. I know that Kaiser's been trying to get Zip It Up to catch on, zipping up the body bags. I think for me, as someone who grew up with the last name Zipper, I heard every possible joke about my last name so many times as a kid that my impulse is to just be like, yeah, my name is Zipper. I get it. But no, I'd be open to introducing some more Zipper puns or catchphrasery into my character.
I really want to see that Zoltan from like Dude Where's My Car symbol come out. Like, I want it to start. I really do. If I want anything from that thing, like Zip It, I think is like it has to be like a delivery thing. It wouldn't have to be like a catchphrase. I think that'd be a little much. But then at the same time, we also have Paul with check your clocks. It's party time.
Yeah. He's very committed to his catchphrase.
He is. He pulls it off fairly well too. I was iffy on that first because catchphrases can either land like an anvil or it can just stick the landing, and I think he actually did a good job of just committing to it.
Yeah, it feels relatively off the cuff when he does it.
Right. With that in mind, though, speaking of Paul and your team, I guess let's just get into the matches for this week. Then let's get right into the meat and potatoes of this interview. We'll start off with the tag team match. You and Paul debuted against Video Drew and Tom, and boy, was this match on fire. Like, we did not. I think a lot of people were surprised by how just high level you guys were already on your entry matches.
Thanks, man. I wasn't surprised by how well we did, but I was very surprised by how well the Looney Bin did, because Tom came out of nowhere. That guy is a literal trivia monster.
Yeah.
And as much as Modern Classics is, I don't want to call it a softball category, getting a perfect round 2 is like nothing to sneeze at. Especially given that Paul and I spun Clint Eastwood, who has been in literally 3,000 movies.
Yep. About half the movies that Samuel L. Jackson has been in at this point.
Yeah. Until Sam Jackson is Clint Eastwood's age, and then it's gonna be a mess.
So we'll just kind of break it down a little bit by round. I don't have all the scores in front of me because we are not the rundown. We don't have Frank Janis here to sit there and have all those ready at first at any given point. But I do know at the round one, you guys are both pretty close between it. You or Tom and Paul both end up with perfect rounds, both missing the Into the Woods question. Which behind the scenes stuff, we just also had an interview with. We've had an interview with everybody within the past 2 weeks, I feel like. But we had an interview with Video Drew. I'll go ahead and plug right here. Check it out, guys. And she mentioned it. She was like, I feel like I was missing every question in that first round, but the perfect question that round, essentially the 9-point one, was the one that she was just like, I knew it, and Tom didn't know it. So she was so upset about it. But yeah, you get into that perfect round, which I think is that the first time. I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've seen a perfect round from 2 players in round 1. Don't quote me on that. In teams,
is it?
I'll have to check with Frank on that one, but I believe it's the first time we've seen a double perfect on that, unless I'm wrong. If we have live stream, maybe they'd quote me on that one, but I don't know.
I really wanted the perfect round in that match, so there would be 3 of us. That would have been wild.
Oh, that
crazy, but
extra good too, considering how it goes. So round 2, we kind of briefly touched on a little bit. Looney Bin cleans the plate, takes the perfect round on theirs. You guys go, I think, 4 out of 6 with 2 steals on the first, if I recall correctly.
We got no steals because they got a perfect round, and then we went 7 out of 12 points.
That's right. Yeah. So I know there was a couple multiple choices on that one. And another behind the scenes thing. Apparently, Tom is a very big Clint Eastwood fan, so he's still kicking himself to this day for not getting the questions that were available for steals. So no, not only did you get the W in the match, you won the moral victory in the psychology game against him.
Good. That does make me feel better.
Yeah,
that's good.
Honestly,
sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
I honestly feel like, because we ended up getting 32 points, even with a bad spin. Honestly, with the only slice on the wheel that we were like a little nervous about was Clint Eastwood.
Right.
And I feel like if we'd gotten any other spin, we could have broken the points record. I just I just want it. I want it. I can taste it. I want it so bad.
Hey, by the way it's looking, though, you are not short on opportunities to coming up with that, because we are, I mean, I guess I don't know. When is let's get an inside scoop. Zipper, do you know when the Ultimate Team's supposed to start? I don't know if there's a set date.
I don't know when it starts airing. I know that we're gonna start filming them in a few weeks. I don't know what day the first team tournament match is gonna drop, though.
I believe the singles one kind of starts up in either New York or Orlando. I know that one with Ethan Irwin's first match, but I wasn't sure if it starts coordinating around the same time as the teams. So I guess we'll see. But we know for sure that you guys are in there for right now.
Yes.
So I know this is maybe counting chickens before they hatch, but there is a possibility that you could be teamed up with the singles champion going into the tournament. So do you think that would affect your seeding at all, whether or not he has that belt, or kind of what do you kind of feel about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it would affect the seeding. It would definitely affect my psychological zone going into the matches, and that I would feel just like really insulated, going in knowing that my partner is the champ. Sorry, someone just knocked on my door, but I'm gonna ignore it. But someone with a clipboard, so it's probably fine.
Don't answer it.
I really want that. I want us to have all the belts in the dungeon, I want Kevin to bounce back and get that IG belt. I want Paul to get singles. I want him and I to take the team belt after the tournament. Like, let's have them all, you know? So I don't know if it'll affect the seeding because I think the matchups as far as the team tournament are already set. But it would definitely affect our state of mind going in, I think.
Yeah.
For sure. I think there's a lot of that big dick energy to go into having a title belt around one of the partners' waist going in with that. At a quick glance with the team's division rankings, which aren't fully updated at your guys' match, it seems the only other team right now that's 1-0 is kind of funny. And Crimson Fury. And Time Machine. Sorry, they're all creeping up on me. But, so yeah, I mean, that's a great question, though, Melissa. I think that could be a little hit or miss, but it's probably lined up to that match would be, they're all 1-0 either way, so they may not play favoritism on it. Because, sure, I mean, if Paul wins the singles championship, that's great, but that necessarily probably shouldn't influence the ranking in the team division.
I think that's the thinking, yeah, is that it wouldn't affect that ranking, but hopefully it would make people scared coming up against it, so.
I would also argue that it's not like favoritism has ever played a part before when other people have held the belt before. So that was sarcasm. But
Really?
I'm not going to say who, but I think you can probably guess.
I don't know who you're talking about, Melissa. Schmoedown has always been a very fair and by-the-books thing with no implications for storylines or favorites at all.
John Roca. Okay.
Everybody has had a full amount of matches. Even Bateman, who continues, he lost for like 12 matches in a row, but he still keeps getting matches. But that's beside the point, guys. We're a team, we're a family and a dungeon podcast primarily at this time. So, horsemen we are not. So anyway, other than that, so you guys walk away, kind of back on the team match real quick. You guys walk away with the win. Incredible debut from you guys. Incredible debut from the Looney Bin too. I hope this one gets more talked about more because that was a great entrance with it, and something I was even mentioning before the show with you that I think that the two best rookie versus rookie matches in the teams league so far have been you with Haley against Bateman and Riley with Who's the Boss in the first round of Anarchy, and then now you and Oyama against the Looney Bin with this one. Both of those have had you in it, Paul. Zipper. Common denominator. Huh?
Yeah, I'll take it, It's great. And also both times I've been blessed with great partners and great opponents. But yeah.
But
someone
speaking
seems
of
to be
playing
off
against
fireworks right now. So that's fun.
I was like,
it's July 11th, so
right.
I mean, it's still within July 4th, July 4th time frame.
Yeah.
Now, Zipper, are you in the LA area? Are we sure fireworks?
Sorry, say that again.
You're in the LA area. Are we sure it's fireworks that you're hearing?
I mean, I'm never 100% sure, but but if it's July, I like to assume. It's like you said, it's July. Let's make the charitable assumption.
Probably fireworks. Hopefully fireworks.
Duck and cover, just in case.
Right. But, kind of exiting out of that team match, we'll talk a little bit into your singles match with Haley Fouch, former team member of yours. And, wow, this one came out swinging. We won't play it round by round, but we'll I guess, what are your overall thoughts and impressions doing overtime and taking a win on that?
Yeah, I was really nervous the whole time, especially because for most of the match, she was like a point or two up on me. And then thankfully she missed her 5 and took it to overtime. But I might have mentioned to you before, the whole match, Kaiser is pacing at the back of the studio with his hands on his head, just like looking so stressed out, which was not helping to make me calm down. And then at one point, he literally comes up, like in between rounds, puts his hand on my shoulder and goes, "I need you to calm the fuck down." I need to calm down.
Oh, jeez.
You think he was just
Way.
speaking his natural to you, knowing that he needed to hear it aloud for himself, maybe?
Huh? Sorry, say it again.
You think he needed to just speak that aloud, and really he needed to hear it himself, but he's just aiming it at you for the time being?
Yep, I think that's exactly what was happening.
So, what was it like going into overtime for that's the first time you've been in overtime before, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was nervous about it because Haley and I, like, when we got paired up in Anarchy, we got along really well, largely because we have like super similar taste in movies. Like, we like all of the same stuff and have seen most of the same stuff. So I knew going in that we were going to be like pretty evenly matched. And so, especially going into overtime, like, it just comes down to the question. And I went on a movie that neither of us had seen, because I'm not going to waste time watching The Brothers Grimsby. But I had looked it up. I had looked it up before just because I wanted to get Mark Strong like straight in my head, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, they ask a lot of questions about Mark Strong. That guy comes up all the time because he's been in a million things. And so when it came up, I was just like, oh yeah, that guy from that terrible movie. So Haley's downfall was really having too good of taste. That's really all it was that she was too. Yeah, she was too good for the movie that the question was about, and that was what cost her the match.
So, you heard it here first, everybody. Zipper's pro tip is watch terrible movies if you want to succeed, or just look them up. Either
Don't watch them, just look them up.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some points you should just leave on the table, like just as a standing up for something. Like, if you're gonna get a Brothers Grimsby question, just leave those points on the table. Unless you're in sudden death, and then you should probably take it.
But honestly, I 100% agree with you. Like, I will watch movies to study, but I draw the line at watching things that I know that I will hate or that I think will be terrible. Like, life is just too short to watch The Brothers Grimsby. It just is. So, I agree.
Smart decisions. Start with just brushing up on Rubber and Thinks Killing and all those great ones. And I'm sure they'll be coming up in Schmoedown anytime now. I've been waiting.
Yeah. Any day.
Maybe there's a Chris Galicki conspiracy here. Does he just really love Mark Strong? Do we think that's why he's pushing it so much?
Maybe. I haven't had too many extended conversations with Chris, but I have so many questions about that entire process.
Right.
And about what movies he has or hasn't subjected himself to for the purpose of writing questions. But maybe he's just a big old Mark Strong head. I don't know.
I feel like he probably just looked up the question too. He probably hasn't seen that movie either, so that's probably why that.
Yeah, I hope he draws the line somewhere as well. Like, I don't wish that on anybody.
So coming into that match, you're looking in pretty prime position to be going into that Ultimate Singles tournament. So we have very likely with you going in Ultimate Singles and Ultimate Teams. How's that pressure feeling going in? You're going in 1-0, wins against both divisions right now. Is that helping, or is it just more pressure for you?
A little of both. I think there's a little bit of the pressure off now that I've kind of broken the seal and won a couple matches, Now that I've sort of ended that losing streak. If I take a loss now, it won't feel as much like the end of the world, but I do really, really want to keep it going. Like, now that I've started winning, I feel like what kind of happened last time is I lost some momentum, and I don't want to lose momentum this time. Like, now that I've won a couple matches, I want to hold on to that and win my next matches, because, like, I don't know. It's I feel like, especially given sort of the way that the storylines have been shaking up with me really taking those losses super hard. I just I don't know what it'll be like if I take another string of losses after that. So it's not going to happen. That's all. It's just not going to happen. Just It's gonna be fine. Everything will be fine. Why do you even ask the question? It'll be fine. Leave me alone.
You're right. Confidence. Making sure.
I mean, it must give you like a lot of confidence that, I mean, just as we don't know what Paul will do yet, but you could be the Dungeons like big player going into the second half of the year. You could be in both the singles and the team league, which you'd really be the only one, depending on what Paul does. So you could be their like biggest threat. So that has to give you some confidence too.
It does. It does. It really does. It's like, honestly, like being a part of a faction in general, just like is so great for that reason of just like, it's a huge confidence booster. It's like knowing that you, at the very least, knowing that you are good enough to hang with these other players that are this good, you know? Like when Kaiser picked me for the manager bowl, like that felt great, even though I wasn't super jazzed on my performance in that match. Just being at the table with McWeenie and with Roka and with Janine and with Stacy and being like, oh, I can hang with these people.
Right.
Like, feels good. It's nice.
And I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but like felt like I was pretty impressed with your performance in the Manager Bowl. So, and I know you had a lot of people rooting for you specifically because of Kaiser, but yeah, I think we were all pretty impressed with your performance. And yeah,
thank you. I have to actually tell you a quick story about my 5-pointer in that match because the question was about the Ron Howard film Gung Ho, starring Michael Keaton. And exactly 1 week before the match, I was having a conversation with my dad, and he was quizzing me on movies. And he asked me about that movie, but he couldn't remember the name. He was like, "Oh, what's the name of that movie with Michael Keaton from the 80s with the cars?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'll look it up when I get home." And then I didn't look it up. And it was my 5-point question. It was my 5-pointer. And so as soon as I asked that, I was just like, oh no, my dad's going to be so mad.
Did he give it to you?
Oh yeah, he was disappointed. Because I said I was going to look it up, and then I just forgot. At this
point, I think you're cursed, Zipper. Like, I think you need to look up every single question you ever think you should, because at this point, the questions you look up are your 5-pointers. So.
It's honestly insane how often I will get asked questions about movies that have like come up in like the few days before the match. Like if I have a conversation with someone about a movie, it like always feels like it ends up popping up in a match. I don't know what's going on, what weird Schmoedown curse has been placed upon me, but
you speak it into the universe and it comes back to you, I guess.
I guess so.
I'm sitting here just thinking of all these questions I want to ask to see if I can just magically make them a 5-pointer now. I'm just like, something in the beautiful mind. I don't know. We'll look up that IMDb. I'll use this one small clip if you have a 5-pointer about the beautiful mind for like the rest of your career and be like, I told you it was going to be that Zipper. Why?
Not yet. Now that you've said it, I need to just go watch A Beautiful Mind again because it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. So thanks for putting that out in the universe.
Yeah. I make no apologies for it. It's a good movie. You're not upset by having to rewatch that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's all right. But so obviously, it's pretty safe to say you got your mind on the belts moving forward in either division that you're in right now. What's more important to you, being a champion or beating corruption at this time?
Beating corruption. If I could do both, that would be great. As much as part of me would love for the Shire Wolves to hold on to the belts forever, there's also a part of me that really wants corruption to beat them and take the belts just so that Paul and I can work our way through the tournament and face corruption at the end, just because it would feel right. It would feel good because, you know, Chance is his nemesis and Mike is mine, and it just, I just want to beat them so bad. After that loss with World's Finest, I just want to beat Mike so badly. So bad.
I think we all agree with you. And speaking of, you know, we're working on getting an interview with Mike KO for within the next few weeks. So is there anything we should maybe ask them, or, you know, it's not going to be a friendly interview like it is with you. It's going to be,
It's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, you could just ask him, who the hell does he think he is? But apart from that,
you got that, Dylan.
Yep, I heard it here first. I will put myself into that Mike interview and specifically ask him, who the hell does Mike think he is? I agree, though. I think that it's mixed. Where I'm kind of with you on that one. I think Shirewolves are just they're a champion team. Like it feels weird for them not to have belts. Whenever they lost the Odd Couple for a brief period, it felt weird to not see them come in with their belts and being the undercard or the underside side on that one. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. That I know that they have the Founding Fathers. There we go. The Founding Fathers in that match, and that's coming up soon. So we'll get to see where that all lands, if they get to play against them or not. But here we go. It's going to be exciting either way. Speaking of Mike, this is the Mike Kalinowski show for the next couple seconds. So he's got a match coming up with Bateman, and where you could also fight him in the teams league, you potentially could also see him in the singles league. But Mike and Ben Bateman got a match coming up here soon, and they'll play Snyder, and the winner of that plays whoever is champ of the time, which could be your tag team partner or Dan Merle still. Who do you got on that match? Do you want Mike to win it? And then kind of the same way?
No. I don't think it matters as much to me in singles. In singles, I just want him to lose. In teams, I specifically want him to lose to me. In singles, I don't particularly care who he loses to as long as he loses. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Good attitude. Good attitude. Yes. Yeah.
You're like, teams is the place I want to beat him, and to be fair, he doesn't have a great record against Bateman so far, but we're also not endorsing Bateman at the time because he's in the Five Horsemen. So this match is redundant to this podcast as far as we are concerned.
Okay.
I've still been ride or die. He's doing it for he's doing it for team action. I know it in my heart.
Yeah, well, until I see it, he's a horseman trader through and through, and I refuse to forgive him on that. But Zipper being, a rookie from last year and being in a faction full of up-and-comers and stuff like that, I'm always curious to see. You're a little bit closer to the ground and being in the Schmoedown competition and stuff like that. Do you feel like there's any more up-and-comers that you're looking forward to seeing play more? I mean, obviously we can mention Tom in the Looney Bin since you just had a recent bout with him.
Right. I think Tom would make a real splash in singles. I would love to see him in singles. And I also am really stoked for Brandon Hanna in Energy. And actually, I know. I mean, yeah, boo. But actually, you know what? You're right. Forget Brandon because I really like Chandru. Chandru is a delightful person. Just an incredibly sweet and friendly and charming guy. So I hope that he goes far. He goes well.
He performed excellently in this match too. So
I think the Inner Geekdom, especially this year, is because it had kind of reached a point in the Inner Geekdom where you have sort of those 3 or 4 top tier players, and then everyone else kind of hanging behind them. But I think we're going to see a lot of those newer players in Inner Geekdom start to push their way towards the front of that pack, which is really exciting.
I would agree. I think that they did have that top 3 for a while now, including Smets into that holy trinity, so to speak, with Inman kind of floating out and Mara retiring out kind of in her time with it. So I think that, Smets walked so Chandru can run and fly. We got more players coming in with that. Inner Geekdom is stacked. The teams league is incredibly stacked. Singles is still really solid too. Nothing to take away from singles. I do wonder if the spotlight really isn't on the other divisions right now. Star Wars, we get it sometimes. So love and hate it with that one.
Speaking of Kevin Smets, who is your stablemate, can you tell our viewers what a lovely gentleman he is? Let's break the kayfabe wall and tell us what a lovely person he is. Or do you just wanna?
I mean, look, when he's in front of the camera, when he has a match, he really gets in that intense zone and he really becomes that guy for the duration of the match. But when we're out at the bar afterwards having a beer, he is straight up one of the friendliest people I've ever met in my entire life. like he's like the new kid that shows up to school and is immediately really popular. Like he showed up to the Schmoedown and everybody was just like, Kevin! And like,
how dare he be so charming? Damn it, Smith.
Right.
So our boy James
Okay,
went as Smets's date to the collision, so that must make us like the cool kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can be the officially approved reaction show of the dungeon. You can be affiliated.
Yeah.
I haven't run that by Kaiser, but I'm sure he'll be fine with it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, Kaiser loves us. It's okay. We did some impersonations of him recently that I'm not sure. I've never heard back on, but
we
Melissa, don't we're not going to talk about that though, because I don't need that to get more attention than it needed to. I never got a comment back from him on it, so we're just leaving it there.
Yeah, leave it on the table.
Yep. Before we start to wrap up on this, Zipper, we do want to plug a couple things. Of course, we have Schmoedown Nashville, the two biggest advocates for the whole thing in there. Hashtag Schmoedown Nashville. Do make it a live event. Make it happen.
Hashtag Schmoedown Nashville.
Yes.
Mark Ellis, if you're listening to this, make this happen.
I've never been to Nashville, so I really want that to happen so I can go.
Zipper, come on down anytime you want, buddy. I'm like an hour away. Stay at my house. It's fine. We have a guest bedroom. Well, again, we'll get the numbers and the social security numbers and all that after the whole video is aired. It'll be fun.
They have a guest bedroom so that Dylan's wife will be in the guest bedroom while you guys are just like.
Hey, we'll talk about it off. We'll talk about it off camera. You know, we'll make
Other than that, Melissa, I guess you can start doing our regular plugs. Am I missing any other things that I should be doing other than our usual closing thoughts?
No. One thing I did want to, because he brought it up earlier and I forgot to come back to it, but he had mentioned like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and getting more involved there. So any chance we'll see you on the table calling a match at any point? And is like writing some storylines or anything like that kind of something you might be interested in?
Yes to all of that. I had a great time being on the table for the MCU exhibition match. That was super fun. Just getting to do bits and go back and forth with Mark Ellis during that match was delightful. So anytime that they want me on the table, like, I will say yes. I will do it. It's super fun. It's a lot less of a high stress situation than competing, which is nice. You know, you can't lose commentating a match. You just have to sit there and ask the questions and be mildly amusing, and I can do all of those things. So yeah, I would love that. As far as writing, I don't know. Christian very much has a lockdown on that, but I always love to make suggestions as far as the storylines and stuff like that. He does what he wants to do, but if I can make kind of a shameless plug, I actually, for one of my jobs, I write for a YouTube channel called The Completionist. So if you ever want to check out any of my writing, go watch The Completionist, because I write for that show. But yeah, I am mostly just very glad that I've gotten to be involved in the scenes and the storyline side of things this year, because I wasn't last year. And getting to do scenes and to be involved in the stories is just a delight. It's awesome.
And it's been a blast having you in those. I think it's been mixed reviews because everybody's just, Zipper's whining, blah, blah, blah. But who's winning now? I think
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now I don't have to whine anymore. So everybody wins. Everybody's happy. It's fine.
The Wambulance has left the station. It is only Championship Alley ahead for Eric Zipper.
That you heard it here first.
the official podcast that is going to be. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to plug. Zipper, you've got us for the Schmoedown Awards now that the rundown is out, right? No pressure.
Yeah,
No pressure.
I mean, you are the only show to have invited me on, so automatically you have my vote.
You heard it here first, everybody. Eric Zipper, future champion, has endorsed the Call to Action podcast. We will put that onto our trailer whenever we start running all this good stuff and start running the promotional material.
Yeah, do it, man.
We're doing full nude episodes and everything. We're doing everything. We're selling out hardcore to get that. You can catch that on our After Dark Patreon, which we don't have, but don't tempt us. Anyway, I guess we can go ahead and wrap up here. Melissa, where can they catch you at?
On Facebook, on the Movie Trivia Schmoedown, and Action Army Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. You can, of course, always catch me here at the Call to Action podcast. You can also catch me at Twitter on CAMACH Octopus. That is a mouthful to sit there and say. You don't want to say it out loud. You can also catch me in every single fan page worth being on in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown, including the main page. I'm all over the place, including on the dungeons. Zipper, do you have your own independent one? Thinking about it?
Like Facebook page? I do not, no.
We may have just make an individual Zipper fan page in between now and then. Stay tuned. But other than that, that's where you can catch me at. Zipper, where can they catch you at, buddy?
You can find me on Twitter at Grog is here with 2 G's at the beginning. Grog was a character I played in a show years ago that I never changed my Twitter handle. It's fine. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and on Facebook. You can find my work on the Completionist channel on YouTube. And that's about it.
All right, guys. Well, you heard it. Future champs and the Call to Action podcast going to be taking that title and those championship titles all at the Schmoedown Awards. But more importantly, we have Eric Zipper hot in the Schmoedown right now. Let's see where he goes and let's see how he does. All right, guys.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here, Zip.